The war of words between Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson and President Donald Trump continues after Johnson was called incompetent by Trump, and the idea of sending in National Guard to help with crime in the city. It's Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and wake up with us each and every weekday morning here with Illinois in Focus Daily. Go to thecentersquare.com where you can sign up for the newsletter and get these headlines and more. But you need to obviously read some of these stories here, like the story that Jim Talamonte put together yesterday. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson says he and Governor J.B. Pritzker are on the same page about President Donald Trump not having authority to send National Guard troops to the city. So let's hear a little bit again, flashing back to Monday. President Donald Trump took a podium over at Washington, D.C., saying that he's taken over the police functions in Washington, D.C. because of the rampant crime there, even though some people are saying that Trump is doing this unnecessarily because crime's down in Washington, D.C. But regardless, Trump...
But then I'm going to look at New York.
He doesn't want the ongoing headlines of, government staffers getting beat nearly half to death, or carjackings, or shootings and the graffiti and such. So he announced that he's taken over the policing efforts in Washington, D.C. He also said that he's looking at possibly getting National Guard involved in other cities and states, like, for instance, in Los Angeles, in New York City, and even in the city of Chicago. Here's President Trump from Monday.
But then I'm going to look at New York in a little while. Let's do this. Let's do this together. Let's see. It's going to go pretty quickly. And if we need to, we're going to do the same thing in Chicago, which is a disaster. We have a mayor there who's totally incompetent. He's an incompetent man.
So he's an incompetent man, Trump said of Brandon Johnson. He then went on to talk about how he believes that J.B. Pritzker is incompetent as well, and we reviewed that yesterday. But Johnson held a news conference yesterday, and he was asked about this particular spat back and forth between he and President Donald Trump.
In Chicago, seventh graders have to pass the Constitution. I taught it. This president could use a seventh grade class right now to understand the basics of the Constitution. And so it's incumbent upon all of us, as we literally watch this man shred the Constitution in front of us, taking not only a tyrannical approach, an authoritarianism approach towards governance, is doing it with no resistance from his own party. And I'm grateful that there are Democrats around the country, and even reasonable Republicans, who recognize that he is a threat to our democracy. You all have heard me speak of this before. I've said this for the last couple of years. The extreme right in this country wants a rematch of the Civil War. His own mentor, President Andrew Jackson, is how he is modeling his behavior. The Trail of Tears, right? Snatching people off of their land. A war on poor people. He is one of the biggest threats to humanity that we've seen in an entire generation.
So Johnson not mincing words there and how he feels about President Donald Trump, but Johnson was also asked just about the practicality of the statements that Trump made and the actions that Trump is threatening to do by getting the National Guard involved in combating crime in the city of Chicago.
The president has powers to take over the Metro Police Force in D.C. Does not have that power here, but could, under the Insurrection Act, send in the National Guard into the city of Chicago. The president was, he called you an incompetent man yesterday. He said the same thing about the governor. Talk about your feelings on what the president had to say about crime rates in D.C., in Chicago, how that doesn't necessarily jive with the numbers that we're getting from the police forces from both cities, and your thoughts on the president using the Insurrection Act as a catalyst to bring in the National Guard into the streets of Chicago.
Well, it's clear that the President of the United States of America is very much interested in insurrections. He led one. And I remember a time in which we had presidents who declared war on poverty. This president has declared war on poor people. And he's doing it by way of taking away, Medicaid, taking away SNAP, literally taking away food.
So you got this line that the Democrats continue to use about, Trump, and you're going to hear this a lot today, too, as well, because it's Democrat Day, it's Governor's Day at the Illinois State Fair. So all of the leading Democrats, from Governor J.B. Pritzker to Senator Durbin, Senator Duckworth, Speaker Welch, Senate President Harmon, members of Congress, members of the State House, they're all surely going to be talking about the so-called Big Beautiful Bill that looks to curb waste, fraud, and abuse in social net programs, like social safety net programs like Medicaid and like food subsidies, to ensure that people who are able-bodied are able to prove that they're out looking for work and either working 20 hours or such so that they can get those types of benefits. But you'll hear the Democrats say that they're taking these subsidies away from the poor people. They're taking these health benefits away from poor people. Is that going to sustain? Is that going to give the Democrats the level of support they're looking for to take back Congress? I guess we'll have to wait and see how it comes out in the wash by November of 2026, but that's the attack line we're going to continue to hear over and over again. But back to public safety. You've got Johnson talking about public safety and how the federal government might get involved or not get involved.
Honestly, your answer to your neighbors who have been, a neighbor of yours was shot in the back multiple.
Yeah, and so we are addressing community safety. That's my top priority, and we will continue to do that.
Thank you.
Follow-up?
Thank you, Ed.
All right.
We're going to go to Justin here.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're the one.
Thank you.
Let's move on, please.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ed.
Who is not keeping the people of Chicago safe.
All right, we're going to go to the next question. Thanks.
What do you say to Donald Trump? How did you feel when Donald Trump called you incompetent? What did you feel?
All right, he just addressed this. Thanks.
Please answer that question. If you would.
Okay, fine. Since you are begging, I do believe that Donald Trump is intimidated. I think you're
Okay,
begging.
no interruption.
So let me just answer that. I do appreciate you begging. So I will just say it like this.
By the way, that's independent Chicago reporter William Kelly asking those questions of Brandon Johnson yesterday.
That the president has always been intimidated by the intellectual prowess of black men. And so, of course, he would speak in those petite and puerile terms because he's small.
Thanks.
Right.
Here's Justin.
War of words continuing. It's going to give us plenty to talk about all the way through the November 2026 election and beyond. So be with us here with the Center Square. Get the headlines at thecentersquare.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Get the podcast where you get podcasts here for Illinois in Focus. But you can also wake up with us each and every weekday morning right here live with the Center Square. It is Illinois in Focus Daily.